her Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away.
But Northerly, Danny Miller, pumping away, and Northerly wins the railway.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review and digest the Prime WA Saturday Thoroughbred meeting from 24 hours earlier. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571.
Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
Yes, new look team here this morning. I like the look of the team. The couple of R's are in. Rylie Morgan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Richie.
Good morning, Rylie. Marty.
Richie,
well, talking about letters, it's all about T. TC tipped a storm yesterday in the yard, and TT, Troy Turner with that double and a $61 pop, finishing third in 7-iron. He rode brilliantly yesterday.
Big day
TT
for Jagsy.
What about TFP? He had a winner at Belmont on Wednesday.
Fonte.
Your man?
Yeah, got up in the last stride. He wasn't expecting it. In fact, I went down to watch his court case at the moment, the Nicoletti case, and he got very lucky because Judge John Pryor made an adjournment out of nowhere, sent the jury home, which meant Tom
could go to the races. I think there might have been a little bit of work behind the scenes.
Maybe Johnny wanted to get on.
Riley, what about Ascot yesterday? It was the time for the 3-year-olds to strut their stuff. How did the track play?
Played really well. I think it was much needed after the past couple of weeks. Marty, it's been quite difficult with how some of those tracks have been playing, where we've been racing over the past fortnight, but I thought the track played terrifically there yesterday. You could win from on speed, you could win from off the speed, and a lot of the races were dictated to by the tempo, which we will touch on as we get a bit deeper into Racing Rewind this morning, Rich.
Yeah, no, it was a really interesting day of racing. It played fairly evenly. There was horses on speed and running on strongly, and a lot of notice were taken from some of the runs in terms of what's coming up regarding the next 3 or 4 weeks for the Karrakatta and also the Derby and the Oaks.
What about from the stewards' room? Any suspensions?
You've put me on the spot a little bit here,
I've got it here.
Beautiful.
No. A couple of whip rule breaches. Warnings there for Stevie Parnham and Alan Kennedy. But apart from that, vet clearances for a few horses as well. But bit of a clean day from the stewards' room.
I see Mark Zara got done for whip use yesterday, but he'll still be able to ride in the Golden Slipper. He got 7 meetings, which ends on Friday night. Yeah,
they tend to be quite
light on.
Oh, well, you've got a Golden Slipper coming up.
Yes.
Please. Okay, let's get into this. Ascot race number 1 there was the Drummond Golf Plate. It was for the 2-year-olds over the 1,100 metres.
450 left to go. Siren Assault, who showed great speed, led them to the home turn. Up running second, Keeper to Mystery. Bustling over on the outside with the Blaze being tested here, being urged along. The leaders kicked away. Siren Assault by the 250. Siren Assault by a length and a half. Bustling knuckling to the task. Siren Assault still clear. Bustling wanted to lay in across its heels. They all rolled back to the inside, followed further back Diamond Dancer. Siren Assault's going to do this all of the way. Siren Assault beat Bustling. Third home on the inside, Diamond Dancer, and then Deep Route at your service running on. Rise to glory.
Well, there it was, the win of Siren Assault. Tell us about it, Riley.
Yeah, it was a really nice win from a horse who's clearly got some real ability. I thought it was great initiative shown and intent shown from Chris to get across from that wide barrier that she had there yesterday. I found it a little interesting that Jared Noski on Sniper's Son and Paddy Carberry on Diamond Dancer, who probably could have kept him out there at least a little bit longer, but were happy to hand up. And once he was able to get across and back once she was able to get across and back underneath Chris and got control of the race, she gave a great kick into the corner and never really looked in any trouble in the run to the posts, boys. And the Casey's knack of wheeling out some very handy 2-year-olds in recent seasons continues.
Yeah, definitely, and they had a great day with the winner of race number 4, I think it was. Siren Assault was terrific. Just railed really well, straight to the front, as opposed to its previous start when it got back and wanted to get the head to one side. It was basically screwed to one side the whole way and had difficulty getting into the gates as well. Played up behind the stalls, but we saw what Siren Assault can really do. I go back to that run on the 28th of October when Siren Assault led but was very free out in front and just wanted to overdo it quite badly and was run down comfortably by Golden Vale. I think if you put the two in a race now, I think you'd see Siren Assault really making it hard for Golden Vale to get over the top.
I agree, and I think it sort of still says while Golden Vale was very disappointing in that Magic Millions race for the 2-year-olds, that you can't put a line through the form around her from earlier this season just yet either, which I think a few people maybe have, and the way the market was shaped yesterday, really well supported in betting. Punters were happy to take the early price on offer Siren Assault, and were happy to follow that form around that sort of Golden Vale, those form lines from a bit earlier in the 2-year-old season. Bustling was huge in defeat. It was a terrific run from this horse. There's not a chance you can drop off him after that performance. He would have slept very well last night, it's fair to say, with the run he had. It was always going to be the risk from that gate, and unfortunately that's how it panned out on the day. And
carried 58 as well, so 4 kilos more than Siren Assault.
Yeah, and I'm hoping such a big effort hasn't gutted him or taken some of that sort of gloss off him for his targets moving forward. And I think At Your Service is another horse who, while she's still green and wanted to lay in once they straightened, she hit the line very nicely once again. Yeah,
she was a bit racy, basically, from about the 800 metre mark, but and a bit green up the straight, wobbling about it a little bit, but you know, Luke can get this horse going and go into the lead up to the Karrakatta and potentially win it, a bit like Left the Building was able to do before it went into the Karrakatta, won a Perth Stakes.
Yeah, and just a sneaky as well at a massive price. I thought the run of Gold Flakes was really good on debut for Neville Parnham, given she went around at triple figures. So I think that's a nice run for this horse moving forward.
Really worked to the line well, Gold Flakes. Looks a horse that will get over ground, and maybe a size produce down the track would be a really good race.
How good's Wally Daly at breeding and finding horses? And you talk about John Longmire at the Sydney Swans being able to keep your list relevant and turning over. He is a master at it. And we, like a lot of people, thought that when George passed away that, you know, Wally may find it more difficult or whatever, but he's just a star at it. And I've said this before on the program many times, he'll go for out wide stallions. And I know Rich Enough's not out wide. Lampica won yesterday at
Caulfield.
Yeah, Written Tycoon horse, Rich Enough, but he doesn't always go for the same type of stallions. He's prepared to get outside of the box.
Yeah, there's some unconventional crosses to what we're used to here in the West, that's for sure, with some of his horses.
I think he's had a real resurgence the last 2 or 3 seasons. They just keep rolling them out. There was a little bit of a flat spot for a while.
But you have a look at Hanchy, you know, goes across there, has been unlucky in both runs, is due to win one over there. Dominant Shoot.
Huge yesterday.
In an All-Star Mile, huge. When they travel really well as well. And I guess that's got a lot to do with the case. He's not so much Wally, but he's very good at identifying the right races to go into. We go on. Is that it for the first?
Pretty much. It's hard to go past Bustling as being the horse to follow heading towards the Karrakatta from the opening race yesterday.
Yeah, it was an outstanding effort.
Okay, on to race number 2, and we had a hot favourite go down here with Almighty Class in the Bisley Workwear Handicap over the 1,000 metres.
Control pace, Rock This Town held together in front, leads Capital Flight at its girth. A length away, Street Parade has got Almighty Class in a zip fastened pocket. Noski's got nowhere to go, and he's reaching over the back of the leaders, trying to find a bit of room. Premium Choice takes off in front of Swim Through, so the favourite's in a bit of bother back near the inside. Rock This Town's the leader, Capital Flight, Street Parade down the outside. Premium Choice. Noski finds a little bit of room now here with the favourite Almighty Class. Coming with a brilliant run. Premium Choice stole the march. Premium Choice, Almighty Class won't get there. Premium Choice just from on the inside. A luckless Almighty Class never got out really until the race was done. In behind them, Capital Flight, Street Parade.
Yeah, well, I think old Cobb was all over this right from the start, thinking that Barrier 1 could have been a poison chalice for Almighty Class, and it turned out that way.
Yeah. Certainly did. It was something we spoke about, Marty, on Thursday on the Straight Up podcast, and Jared Noski being able to extricate from the back of the leader was certainly always going to be a piece of the puzzle, and something you had to factor into whatever price you were happy to take as a punter about him, Rich. And unfortunately, especially at Ascot, it can be a difficult thing to do at times, especially when they bunch on the corner like they did. You can run into some real bad luck.
Yeah, the danger of taking a horse who looks the winner on paper, should have won the race, and is odds on, and you're putting a whole stack on, and you're chasing the tail for the rest of the day. It makes it hard.
It's a multi-killer, isn't it, Rich?
Multi-killer, and if you're backing a horse, between 6 and 20 to 1, you'd have to put as much on, and there you go. You get the result. Premium Choice, who likes to track up 3 wide, and Joseph Has a Party has won races on this horse before. Its last win, it was 3 wide with no cover. So, it was going to be hard to beat coming to the turn. Premium Choice just ready to let loose and just put them away until Almighty Class got that split, and there wasn't a lot of room there for Jared at the 100, but he sliced his way through and just missed. Capital Flight boxed on well. Street Parade squeezed out late, was plugging home okay after racing on speed, and Rock This Town pulled up a little bit funny after that run, Rylie, and Swim Through just doesn't seem to have come back. Its first 2 runs have been disappointing.
Yeah, I think by and large, Jared was just a victim of circumstance there yesterday, and he didn't win the race like he was expected to. We know that, but I love the way Almighty Class was able to pick up and sprint late, given the lack of momentum that he was afforded in building into the race. And off that, he should only improve, and I think he's right on track for the Quokka. And props needs to be given as well to Tony Triscari for the job that he's doing with Premium Choice. It's been such a great rating sprinter for him to be able to just keep turning up and performing. And those gear changes as punters, we usually see pads on, bars on. We usually put a big red line through it, or it's red flags early doors.
Yep.
Never an issue when it's from Tony Triscari, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that punter who you mentioned before, Marty, had that decent bet on Premium Choice at a good price. It's understandable because that punter's probably black booked it from Pinjarra. It was a great run at Pinjarra. It drew the wrong side, had to come right across, and then has siphed its way through the field and just missed when finishing 3rd. So it was a great first up run and freshened, well, not a first up run, but it was freshened up after that, and Tony's really got it going.
We know the second horse was unlucky, but the winner did carry 3 kilos more than him, so that adds a bit more merit to the win as well. 3rd event on the program, and again, it was the Caseys and the Dailies winning with Rear Admiral in the Amelia Park Handicap.
To go, Rear Admiral about to quickly lay down the gauntlet coming to the turn. 1.5 away then is Ice Picnic, followed by Katona above the peg, Halatorian. Angel Undercover looking for runs back between horses. Now on the outside, the stablemate Rear Admiral goes to the lead at the 150. It's Rear Admiral, Ice Picnic and Angel Undercover. She found room over towards the inside. She's coming and down the outside, Halatorian. They're queuing up. They went to it all. There's a great finish. Rear Admiral might have clung on a nose. Maybe it's Rear Admiral from on the outside, Halatorian, Ice Picnic, and flying through on the rails, Angel Undercover.
Wow, what about this? There's a little bit to talk about in this race, isn't it? When you pull it apart, the intricacies of it, Halatorian, flashing late, your best bets, Ice Picnic.
Hit a real flat spot, didn't he?
Yeah, certainly did. There was a bit going on there late. McGinnity has sent one in. But it's not about his horse Hell. It's about we'll have the Oaks, Derby and Karrakatta markets back up at 8:30 today, punters. So
I had prepared to jab him because we're going to wrap our arms around him for his brilliant tip in the last, Brad. But I was going to give him a jab for not having those markets back up. But good to hear we will have something to work with a little bit later on.
8:30 this morning.
So be ready to bet.
Well,
you've saved yourself there, Brad.
There'll be some overs there. Don't worry about it, punters. He's very generous.
We've got a break at 8:30, haven't we?
Yes, we have. So, but what about this race?
It was a funny old race, Mark, that's for sure. I think it was dictated to by the tempo. They didn't seem to go along at any real strong gallop once Jared Noski was able to get across Rear Admiral on Kelvinator. Really dropped the anchor down that backside, I thought, and it clearly didn't suit a horse like an Ice Picnic, Marty, who hit a flat spot when they quickened and was under the stick before the corner. And Rear Admiral did what we have become accustomed to with her, Rich. She travelled into the race like the winner on the corner, and while she did start to tiptoe late, she was able to hold on finally to break through once again. It's been a little while between drinks for her.
Yeah, and dropping that anchor down that backside sounds tricky. Rear Admiral just got into the right spot. On speed, and the others were chasing hard. Halatorian late on the scene. Ice Picnic's interesting, Rylie. Your horse, he'll be okay over 1,400 metres, looking at his record in Melbourne, where he has won at Sandown over 1,300. I think he placed a couple of times over 1,400. So, he's capable of going beyond the 1,200 metres.
Yeah. He just wanted to wobble around a bit in the straight as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe reach for some headgear next start with him.
Sure. And Angel Undercover was a real hard luck story. I mean, the previous start didn't have to sacrifice ground from a draw, whereas yesterday really had to sacrifice ground early on and was dragged way back into the field, which was understandable from the draw, and it was probably the right thing to do. And then it just became a bit of a horror show, and Jade has weaved away through the field. Got that run eventually through, so did a good job there and just maybe peaked slightly that last 5 or 10 metres or so, but still really was still finding the line.
I thought it's maybe being nitpicky, but I think if she holds the back of Halatorian, she wins the race.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. I'll have to watch it again.
One off the text line. It is open for Retrovision, 0427789571. Richie Bell with the Johnny Pryor name drop on AM radio. How good is that?
Yeah, I didn't mean to be honest. It just sort of flowed out.
But you've done it.
I know. How do you take it back?
No, you can't. Stewie Shetton, his famous words. Once it's out, it's out.
Yeah.
And
well,
just
no good stewing about it.
Well,
pardon the pun.
Didn't Stewie let it out on occasions?
Just
right.
one other runner I wanted to touch on from the third event, Above the Peg. He's been a great horse for the Simon Miller stable, but just hasn't looked his best self for a while now, and that continued yesterday. I think he's maybe at a bit of a crossroads in his career, Rich.
Yeah, it was just even, wasn't it? Coming off a little bit of a break, so could improve with that run.
Okay, on to race number 4, the Glenroy Chaff Handicap over the 1,000 metres.
To go Norwich. They come to the turn. Just So Sassy. About a length on Cheeky Charlotte. Away from the inside now. Goes up to put pressure on. Rupert's Empire made a move 3 deep. Son of the Boss searching for a run behind them. Golden Fighter tracks up next. Then Madam Kisses, Magnalee and Crystal as Cheeky Charlotte headed by on the outside Rupert's Empire. Rupert's Empire hits the front. The Geraldton Galloper. Golden Fighter's in pursuit, but it's Rupert Empire. Golden Fighter. Madam Kisses coming late, but Rupert's Empire. Rupert's Empire wins it from Madam Kisses. Golden Fighter. Magnalee deeper out in behind them.
Okay, tell us about this one, Riles.
It was the charge of the Light Brigade early, as we thought it might be, with the Son of the Boss drawn under Cheeky Charlotte and Just So Sassy, Rich. And I thought Jason Brown had them done early over the first 50 to 100 metres, and then he was pretty happy to hand up to the 2 speed horses that were applying that pressure to his outside.
Yeah, it certainly changed the complexion of the race, didn't it? It meant Rupert's Empire could sort of then slide into it, move up on the outside of them, and then put them away. A previous start was on that track where it was probably unsuited, and it did over race a little bit out wider, whereas yesterday it seemed to free flow into the race a little bit better, and Chris really got it going. He stuck with the horse, and it's held on pretty well.
It was a big win, a really big win. Travelled into it beautifully, regardless, Rich, of that extra work that he had to do throughout in running, and put them away with some authority. And sure, he got a little bit tired late in the piece, but with that run that he did have, he was entitled to. And the camp, I know, has always had a big opinion of this horse, and while he perhaps hasn't delivered on that just yet, he looks just about ready to off that performance there yesterday.
Yeah, no, it was a really good effort. Madam Kisses was a bit of an eye-catcher at its previous start. So many horses came off that track 2 weeks ago where you just couldn't make any ground, and did really well yesterday. Just completely turned their form around. Rupert's Empire, Madam Kisses, Alaskan later on. There was 3 or 4 others scattered through the card as well, and TC was all over that yesterday. He was putting lines through all those runs, and he was tipping like a storm as a consequence, and got that last winner. Not Secret was another one who was unsuited first up at its previous start on that biased track. Golden Fighter continues to race really well. Tenacious horse, tried really hard, looked to have second, wrapped up until just near the line, so it's gone well again.
Yeah, and Norwich is racing really well as well, and put in another good performance there yesterday. Not afforded any luck in running. Just the 2 speed horses as well. Just So Sassy really popped badly. Not sure what to do with her from there. She's a real one-dimensional, jump to the front, rolling sort of sprinting type. And Cheeky Charlotte also felt the pinch late with her after they did battle early at the head of the field, and I wouldn't be surprised if the latter heads to the paddock now. She's done a terrific job in her initial campaign for Luke Fernie.
And in relation to Norwich, it has been getting back in its races its last 2. Got shuffled back last start, and yesterday had to go back from the wide draw. I think also it's been finding races where there's been unbelievable speed in the races. Now, if it draws a gate and there's not such a scorcher out in front, I think it can win one of these.
I agree.
Just before we go into race number 5, one here from McGinnity. Not much talk on Hell Boys. Disappointed.
Halatorian.
Intentional.
Yeah, apparently there is a statewide movement to have the horse exiled out of WA because of inconsistency.
Well, talk about this, Rylie.
He was good yesterday. He was super.
So really he was brilliant first up for Laney, second up not suited really on that on-pace day at Bunbury?
No, but he was also a little bit plain, I think, at the same time.
What did you do with the Bunbury form? Rich, we haven't seen that much of it, have we?
No, that's right. It's similar story to the
previous
Ascot 2 weeks ago.
Well, it proved pretty strong in the next race.
On to race number 5, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap. This was over the mile.
He's outside, but going better than the leader. Lord Gannicus a length away. Arnie's boy steadying off the heels of Wojtek. Gets into the clear. In behind them, next of all, Gold Merit, Full of Merit. Marinsky Ballet comes to the outside with its run. And Wozak headed the remainder. Lord Gannicus hit the front. Marinsky Ballet is starting to run on strongly on the outside of Full of Merit. But Lord Gannicus stoked up 100 left to go. Lord Gannicus now gets clear. And Chris Parnham's going to boot his 4th winner home for the day. They're rolling out the red carpet for Parnham, and Lord Gannicus has beaten Marinsky Ballet, Full of Merit, Arnie's boy, Gold Merit behind those.
We discussed it on Straight Up. He was overdue for this win, Rylie.
Certainly was. A couple of horses are just about given life, both getting the job done there yesterday in Rear Admiral and Lord Gannicus sums up. It was a tricky day for some at headquarters, but some are a lot more forgiving than others, and he held his short quote all the way through betting Marty Lord Gannicus, and I think deservingly so with the manner in which he can follow those form lines behind him and the manner in which Tin Chooks was able to put them away midweek.
True, and Lord Gannicus was pretty good at Bunbury. It was a tough on-speed performance. Admittedly, it was a day that did favour on speed and puts a little tick next to Forever Boy, maybe when it jumps out next start.
Definitely.
He looks progressive, that horse, too.
Yeah, he was tough, leading and just about headed by Lord Gannicus. Marinsky Ballet.
As a non-leader.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And it led that day at Bunbury. Marinsky Ballet. Now, this was one of the black bookers from when we were on the show a couple of weeks ago on Racing Rewind with Matt. And it ran home really well at its previous start on that unsuitable track 2 weeks ago. So, and also, just looking at it in the yard, because I was there that day, it was a bit soft and would have been a lot fitter yesterday and ran really well. Kept finding the line. Full of Merit is just consistent on-speed type horse, maybe a little bit further back than usual last start, sitting in 5th spot. Arnie's boys battling away in its races.
Yeah, I thought Marinsky Ballet was super. She's come back in ripping order for Danny Morton. Full of Merit's an interesting one. She needs to get to a race where she can jump to the front. She's a tough horse. She can sustain a run off a strong tempo. I think you just need to play to her strengths, and she's going to be hard to run down in this company if she can dictate and find the front and lead them along. Wherever we find her next, if she is afforded that opportunity. And the way Lord Gannicus finished off late, it looked like he still had all the work to do at the top of the straight, like it was going to be a close finish. The way he finished off late and found that second wind and extended away from his opposition nicely. He's another horse I wouldn't be surprised if they do have a go at perhaps seeing him out over a bit more of a trip from here. Obviously, it's not a necessity, but it's something I could see them trying with him moving forward.
Yeah, no, fair call. And Dad's big-headed. I just don't know what to do with this horse. He was terrific the previous start over the 1800 and just never got warm yesterday. Did race a little bit keenly in the early stages, but hard horse to really have much confidence in.
9th start of the campaign for Lord Gannicus goes back to about, I think it was October. When did he trial? Yeah, October at Lark Hills. So, again, you see the Williams camp being able to keep them up and about on the heavy sand out there at Lark Hill.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep them marching along.
All right, time for a break. Halfway stage, you're listening to Racing Rewind. Coming up next is our special guest, Justine Erkelens, talking about the win of Own the Queen in the Natasha Stakes.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Own the Queen. Star ratings are clear last in a bunching field. They come to the 400-metre mark. Bohemian Diamond, she's perfection. Going up on the outside, lead by example. Own the Queen, the outside also joins in. Canellan's Legacy looks for a run. And back behind them, the Miss Sky High at the 200-metre mark now. And Own the Queen ranges up. Own the Queen hit the front. Star ratings come from last. Sets out after her. Canellan's Legacy behind them. Own the Queen digs in though. She fights off Star Rating and goes home to win it. Own the Queen scores. Own the Queen has won from Star Rating.
Yeah, she's tough. She wins the Natasha after winning the 1,000 guineas, unbeaten this campaign, and she, the trainer of Own the Queen, Justine Erkelens, joins us on Racing Rewind. Hi, Justine.
Yeah, morning, guys. How are you?
Justine, firstly, congratulations there yesterday and a very good morning to you. It must have been a huge thrill to see Own the Queen get the job done, who's done a terrific job for you early in her career at this stage.
Yeah, no, it was just excellent to see. it's a bit of pressure when they're winning every race to stick them in. So, no, it was very good to see.
Yeah, and in the end, a fairly straightforward victory, as opposed to the previous start where it slipped early and saddle shifted slightly, and Troy indicated that she probably didn't settle as well as what she could have done. And he's also indicated that she tends to float a little bit when hitting the front. What was Troy's report yesterday?
I hadn't spoke to him much because he had to race away, but we were sort of a teaching run yesterday because trying to get her ready for our next start. So she's still done a few little things wrong, but she seems to be getting better every start.
Sorry, Rylie, are you confident she'll run the 24 out strongly?
I do think she'll run it out good because she's just got that burst of speed. We can just, sit off the speed and save it and use it for when it matters.
Justine, it's all happened for her and she's progressed from that maiden victory at Pinjarra pretty quickly. Has this race, getting to the Derby, getting to the Natasha there yesterday, has this always been the plan for this horse from the start of her preparation, or something that's evolved as things have taken shape?
No, it's always been the plan for her since as a 2-year-old, so it's working out well.
Justine, were you a little bit concerned just coming to the home bend when you were sort of shunted a little bit deeper than you needed to be, and you probably got there a bit earlier, and then you saw Star Rating coming up behind you? Did you think that maybe you were going to get run down in the straight?
I mean, it's always a worry, and she's still, figuring out everything, how to do everything right. But on her past runs, that she's just going to give her best, at the end there. So you can be a little bit confident, which is good.
Yeah, so she's certainly got that toughness, hasn't she, which we've all mentioned about her to be able to box on. Just wanted to lay in a little bit in the straight?
Yeah, she's done it in every trial, in almost every race. She just seems to look around a bit. So I guess that's going to take time for her to just, figure out everything that she's doing.
Justine, she's won 4 in a row now for a big group of connections who are all involved in her through the Own the Dream initiative. It must be terrific for you to also be involved in that, and she's certainly going to be a terrific pin-up for the scheme moving forward.
Yeah, it's been really good for them. And you got to try and explain to them, this doesn't normally happen. So, it couldn't have happened as well to a nicer bunch of people, some first-time owners, and there's a group of owners that have been with me from the start, and it's just been really great.
Just wanted to touch on one horse in your stable, Flash Max, which has come back and hasn't really set the track alight, so it showed so much promise in its first campaign. Has there been any issues, and where are you heading with Flash Max?
Yeah, he's actually went and had a tie-back operation, So he's on the mend from that. So hopefully it all looks good and he's healing well, and he'll have 12 to 13 weeks in the paddock, and then we'll start again on him.
Now, I think these are the updated markets. Correct me if I'm not, but Own the Queen into $1.90 now for the Oaks. She's pulled up well, and it's just a matter of keeping it together.
Yeah, she's pulled up really well. She's just such a relaxed animal, She does not spare any extra energy. She's just so chilled and relaxed, and she never gets worked up or, she's just very, very relaxed horse, which is surprisingly for a awesome rock filly.
Yeah, just looking at her breeding, it's quite amazing that you're going to get her out to 2,400 metres, and she's so tough. All the very best going forward into the WA Oaks. Thanks for coming on Racing Rewind today, Justine.
No worries, thanks very much.
Well, tell us about the race.
Gee, she's good. She's really good. And as expected, a field of fillies, virtually all on trial at the 2,200 metres. There was never expected to be much tempo in the race on paper, and that's the manner in which they did hack along is how it panned out, Rich. And with Troy, as Justine touched on, it was more of a teaching run for her there yesterday. Troy was more than happy to go back and get cover as soon as the gates opened. We saw that very early doors, and once they quickened approaching the corner, Marty, she was right on top of them with that terrific point-to-point acceleration she's got and has shown in her career to date. And as you also touched on, star rating looked as though she was going to have a real dip with 250 metres to go. But as she did in the 1,000 guineas, she held her comfortably through the post and was too good.
Yeah, the interesting part about this race was that the first four in the run have all finished at the back of the field, and the last four from about the start to about the 1,000-metre mark was sitting at the back four: Own the Queen, Star Rating, Canellan's Legacy and Miss Sky High. We saw the Morton runners take it up early, whether that was an executed plan. She's Perfection and Bohemian Diamond trying to control it out in front. They both ended up finishing well back in the field. There was an interesting point in the race at about the 550 when Chris didn't quite come out wider on Canellan's Legacy, and Own the Queen sort of suddenly got up there, and then Chris got trapped in, and Own the Queen was able to just cover Canellan's Legacy at that point, and that meant Star Rating was able to latch onto the back of Own the Queen. So it kind of changed the complexion of that race when Chris didn't get out wider. What were your thoughts at that stage?
It just started to get a bit messy, to look real messy as they approached the corner, and where Troy was once they do start to bunch in that manner, it was the place to be. Yep. By all means.
Yeah, had all the momentum. Star Rating was really good because at the start it got a big bump. How much that took out of the horse, I don't know. I thought it might have dipped slightly at the 600 as well, just watching closely. It was hard to tell, but it did loom like it was a real danger. It was still finding the line, so I think the Oaks is still a real possibility for Star Rating in terms of a potential victory.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they'll definitely, if the horses pulled up sound, they'll certainly go there with Star Rating for sure. I thought it was a terrific run yesterday, got that nice toe into the race on the back of the winner, but again, I personally think she'll be hard-pressed to turn the tables with even luck if they continue and progress to both of them to that Oaks, but there's certainly a case to be made, Rich. That's for sure and certain. And Miss Sky High, I thought, was a little disappointing. She was quite cramped for room in the straight, which I don't think suited her, but I also thought a horse like Canellan's Legacy was much stronger than she was late and through the line, Marty.
So that's interesting. If you have a look at Bradley's markets here, Own the Queen $1.90, Miss Sky High second favourite $3.20, Star Rating $5.50, Canellan's Legacy $7.50. What do you think about that, Rich?
Well, I think Canellan's Legacy is back on track. Luke put his hand up, made the mistake of putting her in that 60-plus over the 2,200 metres after winning that Belmont Maiden so impressively, although it was a walker's race, and really showed its true form yesterday. I thought it was a really good effort. I think she's got a little winning chance at $7.50.
Okay, on to race number 7, the Peters Investments Handicap.
Attacking it, has them rolling, coming towards the home turn by a length to New Music and Male Diablo Lad. Over on the inside, Rhythm Star, followed by Gluten Free, Wooburn Gold. 5 lengths from the leader at the top of the home straight in front of Keradwin. Keep attacking, Sales for home at the 250. Races 2 clear, New Music, Male. Wooburn Gold is starting to launch with Diablo Lad. They're coming together. It's Wooburn Gold, Diablo Lad going to keep attacking. Wooburn Gold, though, starts to extend. She comes away. It's 3 out of 4 here for the shooting to win filly. Too good for them. She won it well. Wooburn Gold from Diablo Lad.
Well, this was very well back. Wooburn Gold, pre-post markets, and Colin Webster and Troy Turner collect. There was another very, very impressive win by Wooburn Gold.
Certainly was. She put to bed any doubts over what was perhaps a little bit of a plain first up run, which she clearly needed there yesterday. Wooburn Gold, this is a quality performance from a 3-year-old who has plenty of ability, and not only that, but scope for further improvement, Rich, I think.
Yeah, she was green in her early stages at trials in her first race where she beat Storm Chaser very comfortably by 2.5. That was the most impressive win. But since then, she's settled really well, jumps nicely, puts herself in the right spot just behind the leading pack. Did that again yesterday, streamed down the outside. It was a really good win.
Yeah, it seemed almost the theme of the day there yesterday. It was another race where I don't think they went overly hard in terms of how much speed there was in the race, and Troy had to get on his bike to put her into the race a bit earlier, I think, than he would have liked. But once she balanced up and let down, she put them away in really impressive fashion. And Marty, unfortunately, I didn't get to hear the post-race interview as I was running around after some pigskin at the time, but I'd love to see what the plan is for her moving forward off the back of that win there yesterday.
Yeah, well, Troy indicated in his interview on Tab Radio on Friday with the boys on the breakfast show that there was a lot of improvement off that first up run, and he was confident coming into this race off that 3-week break.
And Colin Webster, as we spoke about on Thursday, Marty, he made the point before her first up performance that she was certainly going to derive great benefit from whatever she was able to do there.
Okay, Ben of Wattle Grove. Boys, how good was the win of Woburn Gold? One like a pretty good horse. Websters can find a decent one, and they certainly can, and they've got one here on their hands who's shooting to win filly.
They sure do.
Yeah, Diablo Lad, true comments, and Diablo Lad was very good again, consistent type, another one who just can jump well, sit in the right spot every time and run your race at an each way price. And Yarralee was terrific, flashing down the outside and looked suited in the race. The setup looked good for it, and it really rocketed late.
Keridwin and keep attacking perhaps the disappointing runners from the race, Rich?
Yeah, maybe keep attacking better suited with a bit of cover just off them as opposed to leading, but it jumped well, and I think Lucy, she was there, and why not take it up? Nothing really wanted to find the front, and she found herself there. And the horse, it ran okay, but did fade late. Its last 100 wasn't all that good, but I think you could probably forgive the run. Gluten Free is another one who tried to crumb across early, then had to drag back, was a little bit flat up the straight, but I think from a better draw where it could sit maybe third the fence, even leading potentially, could run a much better race. One that was interesting was Rhythm Star, who was coming off the back of a up north campaign, and it was first up. It bombed the start. It was still there at the 200-metre mark. It's ended up being beaten 7 lengths, but I'd imagine it would have really needed that run. I'll talk to TC about that, actually, but would expect Rhythm Star to keep improving through the campaign.
Have you checked in on McGinnity? It was good that he's been texting us, but he did go up pretty...
He did go up quite generous, didn't he?
Very magnanimous.
Something you can't resist, can you, Mark?
Well, he did mention to us on the podcast that if it won, he was in all sorts of trouble. Washing cars, wasn't it?
Something like
that. In a Mankini.
On the corner of William Street doing something, I think.
Race 8, the Schweppes JC Roberts Stakes. This was over the 1,800 metres.
They come towards the home turn, and our Rocky Bay looked to be going absolutely great guns at the 400-metre mark. He slipped in a bit of rain, and it raced away from them. Our Rocky Bay, it turned the corner, 3 clear, 7-9 Icebergs, Alaskan, rush into the bar, now starts its pursuit, comes to the outside, followed further back, a lot of good men struggling at the 175, our Rocky Bay from 7-9. It's our Rocky Bay 7-9. A length and a half away, then came Lord Vampy charging. Lord Vampy descends upon them, races to the lead. Lord Vampy won the Roberts Stakes. Alaskan second home. 7-9, ran out of its skin. Probably third home, down the outside.
Okay, a lot to talk about here, as it normally is the JC Roberts Stakes. It always throws up even more questions than answers, but fire away, Rylie.
Gee, he really stamped his Derby credentials with victory there in the Roberts yesterday, Lord Vampy, didn't he? And can't Neville Duncan find a nice horse, Marty? We speak about people who have a knack for finding nice ones. The Playing God progeny just continued to deliver time after time, and yet another feature race victory there yesterday for Oakland Park.
Yeah, it was hard to know what to do with Lord Vampy yesterday, because the win over the 1400 was certainly good enough, where it found the front with about 100 metres left to go, and then held out Fluoro Neuro, who got up on the inside of it. It was a good, strong win. It was hard to know whether the 1800 was going to suit it better. But Ridden Cold, we can see what this horse can do, because its first up run behind Cheeky Charlotte, I think it was, absolutely motored home when Ridden Cold.
Yep.
And we saw what it did when ridden in the same capacity yesterday.
Yeah, sure. Well, Lucy found herself in a pretty sticky spot at the back of the field as they approached the corner, but you could see the way he was travelling. She had plenty of horse underneath her, and once she was able to get him into the clear, he was really powerful the way he picked up and was only running away from his opposition through the line. There was no shortage of tempo. We know that with how the race was run. And while it did play into the hands of those horses who were able to sit off that speed and work into the race, there were certainly some other big runs in the race outside of the winner, Lord Vampy. I was pretty keen on the chances of Alaskan yesterday, and he was nothing short of massive. He was 3 wide, no cover throughout on that strong speed to stick on into second. I wouldn't be dropping off him heading towards the Derby by any means. And fingers crossed, Rich, such a big run there doesn't leave him vulnerable to being a little flat the next time we see him. And a lot of good men. I think it's important to touch on the run of this horse as well, who he just really wanted to overdo things in the run there yesterday.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a number of times with a lot of good men. When he gets into a race where just things flow perfectly for him and he settles and looks comfortable in the run, gee, he's going to be hard to hold out in any feature race, really. He's a top horse, and he just tugged too much yesterday. You could tell, even early on, the first 300 and then even mid-race, you just felt that he wasn't going to be able to finish it off. And he actually did in the end. His last 100 wasn't too bad. I thought he was just going to drop out and run 7th or 8th. So I thought it was a pretty good effort. 7-9 was interesting, Marty. This horse, it had missed the kick at its previous start and never looked comfortable and stepped up in class here. And again, it didn't jump that well, but was able to come across, and then Troy rode it beautifully to get in behind them and was able to sneak a place at $61. I'm not sure whether any further than 1,800 is going to suit it, though.
We had a texter critical of the Ponce ride on a lot of good men, but
in terms of,
well, he just bagged the ride. But the horse over-raced. He was 3 deep cover, over-raced. So in an attempt to get him back underneath him, he ended up in the 2 wide line and got shuffled back to where he got to, and then the horse ran on.
Whoever's texting, are you saying you would rather Pont just let the horse roll and roll across to sit as close to the speed there if the horse is really badly overdoing it in that 3 wide cover line? He just gave the Pont a terror of a time there yesterday.
He had every reason to drop out, that horse.
Yeah, definitely.
And as you just said, he was coming again on the line.
Yeah, he's a tricky horse because you don't really want to use him up. Like the previous start, Paul sort of had to press on in the end. And when the horse has done that, it's been difficult for him. So Paul will be really conscious of that. So he wanted to hold him together and not use up his petrol chips.
He's becoming hard to catch.
Yeah, and he was a $2.30 favourite. Rushing to the bar, 3 deep cover.
Probably just reached his mark now from a distance range perspective for mine. I'm really interested to see, once the data does come through a bit later on this evening, how hard they actually did go up on speed and how forgiving you can be of horses like our Rocky Bay and Icebergs as well, who did plenty of work in the first 800 metres of the race after being caught deep to get to the breeze outside the leader. So I'm really interested to see, once we get that data, what it says about how fast this race was run.
I agree with you. They cracked 150. They were 149 something, but the race shape will be very interesting because it looked like that they were going quite slow after they got their positions.
Yeah.
And once Hollhead got to the breeze outside that leader, they really seemed to take anchor just to the naked eye. So very good point you make there. Just before, let's have a look at these markets from McGinnity. Lord Vampy, $5. This is for the Derby. Own the Queen, 7. Alaskan, 7. Autumn Rebel, scratch yesterday, 8. Scratch, was it?
Yep, scratch.
I think it's entered Wednesdays. A few of them entered Wednesday, including Macchiato, who won that maiden so impressively. Yep. It's entered, and Another Strike has entered Wednesday.
So Zip Away is $9, Miss Sky High 9, Buckets Ridge 10, a lot of good men 12, Simply $14. Rushing to the bar, still there at $14 as well.
I just bumped into the owner of Simply this morning.
This morning?
This morning. I met him for the first time at a cafe, and he introduced himself and he talked about Simply. Yeah. He was also in Valence, which is finished now, I do believe. But he's pretty confident Simply will run a great race in the Derby. All
right, we need to get cracking. One to go here, and this is the...
Just quickly, Marty, I thought the run, we haven't mentioned it, of In Good Order for Danny Morton is certainly a horse who, off yesterday's run, bodes really well for him as he gets out a bit further in trip.
Is that the one back inside them, finishing on?
Yeah.
Yeah, behind them, okay. The last was the Mrs. Max Handicap.
Had to work to lead. Out by 3/4, Butley Lad. Bad Wolf down near the inside. The runs are coming now. Here's Not Secret to the outside. Trailed then by Cosmic Crusader. Birdie Eagle back near the middle, and likewise Sapphire Street at the 250. Not Secret right out towards the middle. Led the way Cosmic Crusader. Now comes after it. Sapphire Street goes inside of them. Not Secret though kicks. Not Secret though fends them all off. Edges clear and draws away. Not Secret wins it. Great battle. Second and third, Cosmic Crusader or So War.
He can pull a race out on his day, can't he? This horse beats Cosmic Crusader, So War back in third, Sapphire Street fourth.
props to our man McGinnity.
Yes.
Very good tipping there.
Graphic.
With Not Secret second up. Graphic tipping, yeah, terrific job. And this is a win of a horse who's always thereabouts in this sort of grade, Rich. And I think the query for mine yesterday was just how the horse was going to handle the 1,200 to the 1,600 metres, which is quite a sharp rise in trip from start to start, but it certainly paid dividends there for Wolfie yesterday.
Well, the polemic between Wolfie and McGrady continued because McGrady indicated he was a little worried about the step up to 1,600, and Stevie just gave him a pat on the back and said, "Don't worry, Sean."
Don't you worry, Sean.
Yeah, Not Secret's got some great form. It beat Top of the Pops last campaign. He's gold. You go back to May of last year, it ran second to Ginger Baker, who was on fire at the time, and progressed to better company. So that kind of form line was really strong for this race for Not Secret.
Yeah, it certainly was. Of the beaten brigade, we did have some 3-year-olds going around in this race who have probably brought the most interest to it. Speaking of Cosmic Crusader, who I was pretty keen on there yesterday, Sapphire Street and Royal Toronado. I thought Cosmic Crusader was good without being outstanding. It was a bit of an indifferent sort of run. It looked as though that perhaps they were going to really swallow him up late in the piece, and then he was able to remarkably fight back over that last 100 metres and finish second. I thought with 150 metres to go, I thought he was going to run fourth or likely fourth or even further back, but he fought back late impressively. I think that if with that improvement from that second up run there yesterday, Rich, he can continue to improve as he gets fitter into his campaign.
For sure, he was good enough, and so is So War. Continues to run on well in its races. Sapphire Street had to weave its way through. Just peaked slightly on the run at the 1,600. I'd like to see this horse maybe freshen up back to the 1,400 draw a gate. Off a soft run, it'd be very hard to hold out. Material Witness was let go out in front and battled on well again. Gee, he's come of age, this horse, this campaign. He's run a really good race again.
The Tomato Floggers text in from the UK. They bet them 20s. They've cleaned out the bookies at Cheltenham yesterday. Got them late but Not Secret. They can't believe it, the bookie boys.
On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
90 seconds here, boys, but before we do, Donnie's text in a great analysis on yesterday's races by Rylie and Richie. You got a fan out there, Rich? Big Donnie, likes it.
On you, Don.
Horses to follow?
Horses to follow too for me. I thought I'd keep it in line with the features heading towards the Karrakatta Bustling. Won't be dropping off him from that opening race for the 2-year-olds. And from the JC Roberts Stakes, I thought the run of Alaskan there was massive.
Yeah, no, fair call. Gold Flakes interests me, especially down the track. I think he's definitely a horse to follow. So that's the one I'm going to outline today, Gold Flakes. And from Albany, I think Pennies Galore can win a better race. It is flying. It progressed from its previous run. Its time compared well to the other race over that distance on the day.
Okay, Karrakatta plate market up quickly. Bustling $7. Golden Kathleen is 8. Earthstorm and Diamond Dancer along with Cedrima Lot are $9 chances. Gold Maker and Golden Veil 10. And Schmoove Mover 11. Siren Assault is 12. Boys, thanks for coming in.
Terrific. Thanks, Marty.
Thanks also to David Short for coming in here today, and well done to Leah Ernest, who'll take you through the morning into the afternoon.